Man, the view tripping, man. I don't know what he got going on, man. He ain't here yet, man. Let me go ahead and call this man. He tripping. We got one of our biggest artists coming on the show today, and he tripping, man. We got Zach Howard, man. Done stuff with Hellboy, Batman, stuff with Dark Horse and Image, and all that good stuff. And he don't want to be here, man. Then he got this Kickstarter going on right now too. His Moonshine Bigfoot book too, like, dude tripping. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, man. Like, you need to like get his stuff together. And he ain't picked up the phone, man. Well, I finna just go ahead and start this interview. I don't care. Welcome back to the hood, and this is Chilling the Green Box with Specks and The View. And like always, you know, The View find a reason not to be here, and we got a special guest today, and he wanted to be gone. And I couldn't get him on the phone this time, so I don't know what's going on with him, why he didn't show up to the studio, but hey, thanks Zach for being here tonight, you know.
Well, sorry your partner in crime couldn't make it, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
Let's
hopefully
do it.
Hopefully he's fighting crime and not doing whatever, because the last couple of times he makes some kind of wild excuses talking about spring break and all kind of stuff, so I don't know.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah. But welcome. Tell people a little bit about yourself so people who don't know who you are know what you do.
I'm a comic book artist, mostly independent, though I've done pretty much everything. Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. My most recent big book I've done or did was with Mignola, and it was The Return of Effie Kolb, which was a Hellboy book that's just collected. My most notable works are probably Shaun of the Dead. I did that book way back in the day after I did a stint on Detective Comics in the Batman realm. Did Justice League covers for 13 months. I did the relaunch of Aliens, the 30th anniversary, for Dark Horse. I've done Star Wars, Star Trek, Wolverine, Death of Wolverine covers. I don't know, Venom, a menagerie of DC crap, but in books, games, a little bit on movies, but my heart is in independent comic books, so everything I do is kind of either a distraction and or just funds my addiction to independent storytelling and make it my own.
Cool. That's great, man. That's great. I think you're the second guest I had that actually been published in the major comic book companies, I guess. So
yeah, the big two, Marvel and DC. Mm-hmm. They're not really my jam. I've done Spider-Man, Hulk, all the fun ones, some side X-Men stuff. Exiles, that's what it was, with like leftover X-Men characters in alternate dimensions. Yeah. But yeah, I've been around, but like I said, I always find my way back. Honestly, my most successful titles have always been independent titles. Outside, if you can call Joe Hill books independent, the book I did with him was pretty famous, The Cape. But like Wild Blue Yonder, that was my book that Mike Raich and I created with Nelson Daniel, and that was still my biggest success ever. And that was truly 100% creator owned. So I often have to shake the fear of going back to mainstream comics and take a chance on myself. Okay. And that's what we're doing here with my newest project, an Image series called Moonshine Bigfoot.
Yeah, we'll dive in that a little bit later. But
sure.
But one thing about this show, we try to be different than other shows, you know. Instead of somebody just blabbing, you know, an hour about the Kickstarter, I wanted people to know more about the creator, you know, behind these projects, you know.
Sure.
Most times they just talk about, you know, this book. Like, let's say you just talk about Bigfoot the whole time, and that's all you know. Like, oh, you never get the thing about the creator. Like, I want to support this guy. He's a good guy. Oh, he's a fun guy. You know, you don't get that feel.
Gotcha. People get Bigfoot weary anyways. So let's get to know me.
Yeah. So by doing that, I don't know if you're familiar with the green box, the electrical green boxes in the neighborhood.
Actually, like on a power line.
No,
or
on the
whatever,
ground. It would
those,
been like
Oh, I get it. Like when you're walking the dog, little green box in the
yeah,
corner. Got
yeah.
it.
So see, when I was growing up, I guess it's maybe a southern thing, but we used to just hang out on it, sit down on it, chill and talk with your friends on it, right? So the show is just.
Aren't you afraid it would like fry your manhood or something? Those little boxes.
I think the metal's kind of kind of thick, but nobody ever said anything. But you just I can guess they said that their parents told them not to mess with it, but we always.
I don't know. Might be firing blanks, sir.
Oh, I got two kids. I think I shoot pretty well.
Well, then I'll shut the hell up. My theory is wrong.
Yeah.
And proven incorrect. So
Yeah,
carry on.
but typically they you chill on it, and by talking with some other creators on these interviews, I figured out that some of the spots was like the bus stops, for us. So that's why we still after school or the weekends we still hanging out in that same spot because we was catching the bus at that same location. But
right. Understood, man. I dig it. Does it keep your butt warm while you're doing it? Like, say there's a nice cool breeze. Are your cheeks warm?
No, see, if it's a hot day, the sun been beaming on it for the whole time, so you don't want to touch it with bare skin,
That'd be bad. It'd be burning your arse.
Yeah. But typically, you'll chill on it and talk with your friends about break down different ideas and concepts, and things going on. So my first segment of the show is called Breaking It Down. And I'm going to break your brain down with a couple of icebreaker questions so people get like a general idea of who you are and whatnot. So
let's do it. Break me down.
All right, cool. All right, my first question is, what is your favorite holiday?
Wow, holiday. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I don't usually really celebrate holidays all too much because I'm working all the damn time. I have to draw for a living, and we make peanuts. So stupid long hours. However, just pure holiday. Not for any of the significance of the holiday, but I'd have to say Christmas time because I almost never see my family. We're all over the place, and every other couple of years we all get together, and that's always fun to eat and drink until you can't move with your extended family. So I'd have to be very boring. Either that or Boxing Day. I don't even know what it's Boxer Day. I don't know. Yom Kippur?
Yom Kippur?
Can I say Yom Kippur?
Yeah, never heard that one. That's a new one for me.
That's our Israeli fans will let you know what's up.
Okay. That's cool.
I don't really have. I apologize for sucking on that one. I don't really ever pay attention. Maybe July 4th. If it didn't have the damn fireworks, how annoying are fireworks? But I do like the summertime. So just effing off in the summer with my wife and dogs on like a hike or something. So let's say July.
Okay.
July 4th. Let's do it.
Okay. Hey, it's still great holidays, all drinking holidays,
Correct.
All right. My next question for you. What is something that's always been important, for you or in the world or whatever, but now it's becoming less and less, irrelevant?
Or more relevant, you mean?
No.
Like the older I get, the less it matters? Wow. You're throwing some curveballs here, sir. I would say I take other people's opinion less seriously the older I get and the less it matters. And your circle becomes tighter, at least the smarter I get. And only the people I respect and truly respect, I let those opinions in. And all this noise online and all the insecurities that led me to be an artist, like basically any other artist, someone who wants their voice to be heard in one aspect or another, or however dynamically they pursue or employ that philosophy. I just do not care what people think anymore. I don't care how popular I am. I don't chase the dragon of anything. I just stay literally whatever my vision is, I try to stay true to that and not let people's opinions bug me. It's just so fleeting. What people think doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It only matters what you do with the time you have on this. Yeah. So the older I get, the less I care what the F people.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel it myself. My fiance say I just don't care. I got just don't care attitude, but it just so much, and to the point, it just stuff don't matter no more. I would say if it's not hurting you, it make you lose money, or it's doing something to your family, it don't matter.
Yeah, if it's not negatively affecting you, yeah, forget about it. Let it go. And if some stranger says something, who cares? It's just let it be like breeze blowing past your ears.
Yeah, like they say, opinions. Everybody like buttholes. Everybody got them.
Everybody's got one, and they all stink, right?
Yep. All right. My next question: what's something from your childhood that you still love today?
Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah.
I grew up on military bases in Germany as a kid, and they're kind of secluded and everything in like the Black Forest, and you didn't have TV back then. That's how old I am. We had one station, and it's the military station, if you can imagine how good that was. And so you had a lot of time to do things that didn't involve TV, and we didn't have computers back then, so not really. So all I did was read D&D like manuals and like draw the little pictures. But the one thing I could get in Germany was Conan the magazine, which were these big giant magazines that just had several stories in it, but they're way bigger than American comic books. And I used to read them backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, and Conan would be cutting doofuses in half all over through the pages. I fell in love with it. And of course, and I believe it was 1980, or maybe it was 82, Conan the Barbarian came out. And in the military, you shared VHS cassettes. That was your internet back in the day. Just handing people a stupid cassette, and they'd have 3 movies on it, and you'd have 3 movies on your crappy one. And I owned Conan the Barbarian. For some reason, my parents let me watch it from like 8 years old on. And of course, I'm completely normal now, so don't worry about that. But Conan just stuck with me. I know literally every word, every sound cue of that movie, and that's one of the characters I still haven't drawn. I've drawn hundreds of characters in comic books, famous and all the in-between ones, and Conan I've never done. So I'd have to say Conan.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of that segment, hopefully people got a good feel from your holidays to your Conan love, But
yes, barbarians and Jewish holidays.
Yeah. But next we can move to our next segment. Being in comics, you should know more about this one. It's called the back issues. If you want to know about a character's back origin stories, you go to their back issues to find out more about them. So in this segment, we're gonna go into your origin story, to your back issues, because just like sure. Conan, you go to his back issues, find out who he is. So now we're gonna find out who you are. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, where are you from, and what do you call your hood?
As I said, I grew up in the Army as an Army brat. My father was a combat engineer, so I was born in Fairbanks, Alaska. Don't remember it. I had 15 homes by the time I was 16. But I never really had like a stomping ground, like a place I called my home until my wife and I moved here to Colorado. So the longest I've ever lived in one place is just outside of Denver here. And so I call that my stomping ground, my where I came from, my wellspring from which I flow. It's kind of, even though I was a surfer for many years and thought I'd always be living by the ocean, I temporarily lived here in Colorado, and I never left. I just love the mountains. I love hiking, love running with the dogs, love everything about it. People are chill here. It's kind of I like the freedom pioneer feel that everybody has here. We kind of do anything, not anything we want, but I think we have a pretty sane state as far as government goes compared to some other states. I don't know. It's the most beautiful place I've found. I've been around a few times. So I would say Colorado. Shout out Denver.
Are you familiar with the movie Johnny Tsunami?
Actually, no, I apologize.
Okay, well, it was a reference I was going to use. It's a Disney Channel movie, I believe. I think he's I don't want to say he's some kind of maybe island guy, or he could have been some kind of Hispanic. But in the story, let's say he's from Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So I can't remember how it was, but he was a surfer, and eventually he ended up snowboarding and using those surfer skills to be a good snowboarder. So I was going to say the reference to you said you was a surfer. Now you live in Colorado with all that snow.
Well, that's funny because I actually, after I lived in Germany, I then moved to Hawaii, and I lived there for 4.5 years during my formative years and teens, and that's where I surfed and got my ass beat for being blonde-haired and blue-eyed. But it was a hell of a time, man. Took my lumps, surfed a lot, and lived in paradise. Cool. So I can feel a lot with Johnny Tsunami. Man after my own heart.
What made you park it at in Colorado? Like, what made you pick Colorado out of everywhere?
Well, I've had a couple relatives here, though they don't live here anymore. So I've been to Colorado a few times, skied a lot with my family when we could do the poor person version of going on a ski trip. But my dad made it happen, and we would do it a few times in my childhood, especially after we lived in Germany because we skied a lot there. However, we're living in Florida. My wife's a veterinarian. She had her job. I can live anywhere, and I was just breaking in to comic books at the time. I was doing the Hellboy resource manual. Well, anyways, my parents, after my father got out of the army and became a civilian, he joined an engineering firm, bought a house here in Colorado. That's where the job was. And they sent him to Europe, promoted him, and he had to go to England. And he didn't want to rent his house out that he just bought. So my wife and I had school loans, and we're living in Florida, so we just sold our house, and he let me live in his house for 2.5 years, where we didn't have to pay anything. His company was paying. So we killed a whole bunch of student loans, but we kind of fell in love with Colorado. We were able to, I had this one weird gig where they gave me a pot of cash, especially for early in my career. I'd never had anything like that. And we could fake that we had money in the bank, and we're able to buy an out-of-practice vet clinic. And the only thing I ever learned in college was doing construction, paying for effing college. So I just used my construction skills, and I spent 1.5 years. I'd go down twice a week. It was 30 miles from our house, but I went down twice a week, and I just work all day, renovating the place. While the place was open, there's like sheets and crap all over, and we're pretty proud. We built that damn place by ourselves, and we're just getting ready to sell it probably next year. And we're moving deep into the mountains to start our animal sanctuary.
Oh, that's cool. That's real cool.
So, yeah, thank you, man. We're pretty proud of it. So we've been working hard. We bought 35 acres on the side of a mountain, and gonna go see how that life
cool.
is.
It sounds dope, man. Sounds dope.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you a music lover? If you are, okay. So what was your first encounter with music or music genre that intrigued you and make you say, you know what, I really like this type of stuff?
Wow. I think one of the great things about being a military brat is, like, growing up on a base on Germany, you kind of have two of every flavor of person kind of living together in one little place. So you grow up in your own kind of weird little culture it's not xenophobic in the way that, like, when I moved to Nebraska in my last 2 years of high school, those people hadn't seen a damn thing on the planet. Though nice, they're pretty xenophobic. They don't know about other cultures and stuff. Whereas growing up in that little military unit, you're kind of always getting people from other places. So you got exposed to a lot of stuff. So one of the things growing up, just a pasty white kid, of course, I was introduced to all the crappy Rat and Poison and all those terrible bands at the time, along with classic rock. Classic rock was probably the first time somebody played Led Zeppelin for me. You're like, time stops, and you're like, holy what the hell is this? This is like nothing I ever heard. But I can honestly say the second time, so I'd say classic rock was first, but the second time, my best friend on a military base that taught me how to break dance was a kid named Bobby. And we used to go into the top of the stairwells, which were these old German World War II housing units. But nothing was on the top of them, and they had these like ballroom floors. And we would literally like tape the bottoms and put the whole 400 pounds of cardboard in the whole thing, and about 5 of us would pretend to break dance. And all we would listen to is Tougher Than Leather, Run DMC. And so that was the second time that a musical genre kind of impacted me. So I had this weird synthesis of kind of classic rock. I'd listen to Jimi Hendrix and then Run's House, back to back, and it was pretty eclectic. And I didn't realize how important that was at the time, because then that opened me up. When I moved around, I noticed how myopic people were. They just listened to the same damn crap all the time, where it's so important. So many musical genres have genius in them. And if you're going to be an artist, I think it's upon the responsibility of the artist to expose themselves to all the great arts of the world. And that means music. Sometimes music inspires me more than any visual picture could, or a movie. Just listening to an album can set me in a place that puts me in a creative mode that launches me on a journey. When I'm editing late at night, I was fortunate enough, I got to be a co-creator and a showrunner for Common's book for Webtoons in his debut. And I got to work with Robert Glasper and stuff like that, and that then got me into all this like fusion jazz that he does with Common that he raps over, and it's beautiful stuff. So I started listening like this lo-fi jazz, like hybrid jazz mixes late at night while I edited. So it's so important to always leave the door open. Yeah, okay, you don't like mumble rap, but I'm sure there's some rumble rap that will curl your toes. Yeah. So you better leave your mind open for things. I can't stand even the look of K-pop. It's not my thing, to each their own, but I'm sure if I was saturated in the market, there's some indie K-pop MFers that are just turning the screws, the Kurt Cobain of their stupid little K-pop thing, So that's what I learned from music early on, is it opens you up to the feelings and philosophies, thoughts and creative ventures of a culture, wherever that culture is, how small, how big, doesn't matter. There's just genius in there, and I think it's important for artists to find those geniuses. And often music did that for me, because I didn't have a lot of friends just growing up on bass to bass to bass. I was always the new kid. So lots of times my friends were Led Zeppelin 1 or remember when Tribe Called Quest hit? Yeah. I don't even know where that came from still today. And it's Q-Tip and Five Dog, just changing your life with every single song that you'd never heard anything before like it. So that would be my thoughts on music. Sorry,
it's good.
I'm passionate about music, man.
Yeah, see, I was, I guess I still am a DJ, but, I was a DJ. And so, growing up, of course, I listened to top 40 music and like rap, whatever. But the guy who taught me how to DJ, he was a house DJ. So I learned how to DJ from house music, which in change, like, made me DJ a different way than other DJs who just learn how to do like club music. So my blending and stuff was different, because house is all about the knobs and levels, and you just blending 3 or 4 songs together,
Yeah,
so I was part of that skill, and gave me a different ear. When I did DJ, I can do different kind of things, and I heard things in songs. I heard like this sound or this lyric in this song, and I was like, oh, this is an old song. I can put and break it in like this way and flip it around. Like, I just knew a whole bunch of stuff.
Start gluing things together and making something new, right?
Because
Yeah, outstanding.
yeah, because my cousin, he's a EDM DJ, and so like I'll get paid for like DJing for 4 hours or 5 hours, and you probably get $250, right? Or
Yeah.
he would DJ for 30 minutes and get paid either the same amount or more. It just the genre of music just pay more because in that genre you're the artist, you're what people come to see versus rap. You just playing music in the background, but EDM and electronic music, you're the artist, so it's your show with DJ whoever show.
Yeah, people are coming with glow sticks high on Molly just to look at you.
yeah.
Well, there you go. You need more glow sticks, dude. Come on, Specs.
Yeah, definitely. Next question would be, what comic book or comic-related TV show got you into comic books? I know Conan. Well, Conan, but besides that,
Yeah, I'd say definitely Conan, but I wasn't stateside for a long time, so I didn't see like TV shows or new movies lots of times. Things would come to the theater a year late, and they're already famous, so I never saw a lot of that stuff. Things that really young affected me, and this really dates me, is I was there for when Speed Racer was on, like, the old super, it's probably ridiculous to watch. It's ridiculous to watch that, but it's probably super dated now. But things like Speed Racer, when Robotech invaded, and I was there when Transformers hit. I'd say Transformers, more than anything, lit my brain on fire. And I got a few toys before we went to Germany, which is pretty cool, because I was the cool kid for about 6 months before Transformers eventually made it to Europe. So I had the mysterious, famous Transformers and things like that. So I'd have to go with Transformers. Cool. And the movie that traumatized my entire generation when they all died, got shot.
Yeah.
So life was hard back then, man.
So
our toys got shot in the face.
So, I take it you're a Gen 1 fan.
Oh, well, yeah, that's only because I know it best. I mean, hell, things have to evolve. Obviously, it can't be the same forever. It has to evolve with society. But that's only, I just know Gen 1 the best.
Okay.
So, blending in, I guess, Gen 2, the ill-fated Gen 2.
Okay. When did you find out that you're a nerd?
Ooh, probably when Simone's were punching me in the face a lot, calling me nerd. I think it's sunk in.
It's sunk in there. So what triggered that? So what made you stand out from them? Besides, your skin color.
Well, that's 98% of it right there. I was a skinny dork that was the new kid, and I looked like the poster child of the stupid invaders of their island. So I think I was a ready target is the best way to describe that. So I don't think I was saying or doing anything more than just kind of I look like the poster child for the people that that invaded their island and took it from them. So it's just bad circumstances. I don't blame people. We're all kids, and I understand the angst. I mean, I couldn't possibly understand if people look like me just show up to your paradise one day and say, "Hey, thanks, this is awesome. Get out of here." I don't know how I'd feel either. So I think what it gave me more than anything as I aged, a perspective of understanding the angst of cultures and the past and how negatively it affects the future when handled incorrectly with dealing with people, of other cultures. So it was more just a lesson than learning I was acting incorrectly. Though I'm sure I was a little jerk. I was a little kid, but it's a victim of circumstance, I think, more than anything.
Okay.
I'm pasty white. I had like hair. Well, when I had hair, I'm like the blondest person you've ever seen in your damn life, dude. It was like it had my hair has the consistency of like baby butt hair. It's that fine, but it's like clear like fiber optics. I'm so damn blonde.
Oh,
dude.
man. So you could have been an
was,
'80s villain, huh?
I could have been the '80s albino villain that fought like Burt Reynolds and stuff if I was a little older. Yes.
That's funny. So that's the end of that segment. That was your back issues. We're gonna move to the next segment, which is the hotkeys, which is a double meaning term. Hotkeys in music are buttons on turntables for DJs. When I play a certain song, a certain point of the party, they can press a button and it triggers. Or like I said, a lyric in a song could come on that makes somebody think of another song, and I can just press it and it'll link up together.
Okay.
As well in comics, it's hotkeys are when like an artist or a writer get on a project, or maybe a character was introduced or whatever, and it's a popular issue that you want to get graded and framed and whatnot, and that's the hotkeys in comics. So in this segment, these are topics or questions. That there are hot items for you that you want people to know about you. In general about this whole interview, and take that away after they hear or watch the interview. They say, "Oh, this guy, he did this, that, and third." So we can dive in those so people know more about what you do versus who you are.
Understood. Let's do it.
All right. So, we just go right into the Bigfoot. So, is Bigfoot just a moonshine myth, or is it more than that?
We thought he was a myth, but he was a young baby that his parents' forest was burning down in the Pacific Northwest. They got him on a logging truck right as the forest was burning down, and he hitched a ride as a baby and fell off the truck in the Georgia-Alabama border, and a kindly, childless couple of moonshiners found him and raised him as his own. And being rural backwoods, all the people accepted him as just a hairy, ugly kid. Never thought he was Bigfoot. So he doesn't even need to be a myth. He's just some good old boy living in the backwoods, just kindly moonshining, trying to stay a step ahead of the law.
Okay.
So to the law, he's a myth, but to everyone around, he's just a big hairy cat.
What made you, get on that project?
I was working, I'm kind of known for blood and gore because I work with Joe Hill of like Lock and Key fame, and we did a famous series called The Cape that's pretty brutal. And then Wild Blue Yonder was pretty bloody, people throwing axes through each other's heads. Mignola had me do blood and guts and things like that. Oh, there we go. There's moonshine right there. So while I was working on my next project, my buddy and I came up with we were making fun of the Dukes of Hazzard, how they keep trying to remake it and just make it the same damn thing as the dumb TV shows when we're kids. And we all loved the show as we're kids, but that was the weird kind of innocent culture back in the day. Doesn't translate to nowadays, and they just keep trying to remake it. So I was joking, probably on hour 14 of our road trip drive, I just blurted out, why don't we, if you're going to remake it, why don't you do something fun, like have Bigfoot driving the damn car, and things like that. And eventually it just spiraled into its own story. But it started as just kind of a loving satire of 70s, 80s Americana, kind of pop culture and the sign of the times, where the world didn't seem as complicated as it was. Shows were a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. And we're just telling a story within that kind of fictional world of make-believe times, the 70s and 80s. And we're going to be pulling the pop culture from them. Again, Speed Racer, BJ and the Bear. And again, this is some old person stuff from like the 70s and 80s. So I apologize to your fan base already for being old. However, the world was simple back then. Like the Dukes of Hazzard, you watched it as a kid and loved it, and never once did you think about, you didn't know who the hell General Lee was, or his legacy, or anything like that, or what that stupid Confederate flag symbolized. And you just enjoyed the show with two idiot dudes outrunning the law, and some idiot sheriffs running around, and Boss Hogg, and that's all you cared about. And there's a certain fun innocence in that that I don't think stories in the world have now. They just can't accept their silliness and just have fun within that world, so everybody can detach from politics and horribleness of everything that's going wrong with our society. And it's so complicated and convoluted, and just an ocean of culture, media, politics, partial information, half truths, and all this gross stuff, and we're all yelling at each other all the time. With Moonshine Bigfoot, we wanted to make something that you could kind of escape in, like the old comic Gru. Though it's not exactly like that, it can take on, even if it takes on a serious tone, it's done in a way that the environment is so ridiculous, it doesn't feel as heavy and gross all the time. You can still breathe and laugh while enjoying this dynamic story. Not everything has to be, everything in comics, just nothing breathes anymore. And I miss the days of just laughing at a book. And I just don't laugh at comics anymore. Even when you get like Deadpool, it's the same three jokes again and again. Jimmy Chonga, and he gets ripped in half and thrown across a ravine or some crap. It's the same jokes again and again. And I'm tired of shtick. And I want to actually do a comedy. And I haven't done one since Sean Murphy and I did one called Outer Orbit in 2005 for Dark Horse. And I was negotiating that license for a movie, and I just realized that was the last time I really had fun drawing a comic. Everything else has just been terrible amounts of work, and it's very fulfilling. I've been able to pay my mortgage drawing comic books. That's a pretty awesome position.
Yes, it is.
And I'm very proud of being in that position. And I really like the serious stories I've done. And they've had moments of humor, but I just miss doing a comedy. And I think there's a giant chasm, a hole in comic books where there's no comedies anymore. Or if they are, they're really just kind of one beat, high concept shtick, where it's just like one joke. And I want to turn, instead of a joke that goes on 100 pages. And you get emotionally involved with these ridiculous characters because in their world, they're important and they have enough endearing traits that people identify with them, and they're endeared to this character. So as they go on this ridiculous journey, you're rooting for them. You're not just some voyeur just watching whatever happens. Okay, Maggot from X-Men got blown up again. Who cares? Because he's going to be back next year or whatever. Or if Wolverine dies, sure. Like, they're not bringing him back. We kind of abandon that, and we're inventing our own world to where you can kind of get lost and have fun. Doesn't matter where you come from or what you do. If you exist in the world today, I think there's something for it today. And if you're old and crusty like me, Gen Xer, this is going to be crack for you, man. You can just crumble this up, smoke it, and go for a ride.
So how much, since you're the artist, how much input you had into the story, I guess? Because it's a 4-part story, right?
Yeah, it's 100 pages, 4 issues from Image, coming out this February, though the Kickstarter's going on right now. Well, regardless, to your question, I actually am co-creator and kind of co-writing, though we have a scripter, an actor friend of mine named Mike Marlowe. He also writes theater plays. This is his first comic book. So I'm kind of guiding him, just having been an editor and co-writer on other projects. We discuss the stuff, and I let him script, and then I come back over, edit heavy-handedly so it works for artists. Steve Ellis is drawing this. I'm doing finishes on it, and Nelson Daniel, the guy who does these colors, beautiful colors, has been working with me for 13 years, and he has the 4 Eisner nods, which is amazing. He then comes and paints it, and we got a hell of a superstar team for artwork. And but yeah, my job is to make sure the 3 creators get together, make sure the story's how we want it. Then I break it down into issues. Then the writer and I go through and plot out each book, and then he goes and scripts each scene. I go do my heavy-handed edits, though he doesn't need many. He's lightning fast, good writer, and learning the medium well. And then we get to art, and we knock that out of the park, and hopefully curl people's toes.
Since you said earlier that you're known for your blood and gore and stuff like that, So how often do you get to pick your projects you want to work on? Just, I guess, besides them just throwing them at you, because I see you work with a whole bunch of different companies and indie books. So how many of those projects or titles that you actually pick that you want to be on versus that's thrown at you to be on?
That's the biggest lesson I've learned. You'd think 23 years of doing this, I'd be better at it, but I've had to, and it really coalesced when I was doing Hellboy at the beginning of COVID. I'm in a fortunate position. I can almost get most jobs that I wanted. If I want to go back to Marvel, I have inroads to there, and I could probably get a decent book that I could work up to whatever I wanted to. Same with DC, though probably way more inroads with Marvel and a lot more interest in the characters. However, I don't find a lot of joy in that anymore. I've done all of them, and I can't say never, I've enjoyed some of my superhero projects, but I've never gotten a lot of contentment and joy as a creator and artist on them. I don't like the factory setting of it. It's just like a factory line putting spindles in boxes after spindle in box. There's really no creative thrust in it. It feels more like, and I'm not disparaging any person that finds just drawing Batman enjoyable. Man, find your own love and fall into it. As long as you're not hurting people, hell, just go create. And if all you want to do is create your version of Deadpool, your version of Batman, whatever, man, go soil your oats, have fun. But I find joy from the very beginning of my career. I did 2 Image series. The comedy I did with Sean Murphy, Outer Orbit, was creator owned. And then my biggest venture ever, Wild Blue Yonder, was 100% Mike Raich in my creation. And I've not only found financial success going the indie route, as a creator, as a person, just a man, I feel complete and only complete when I'm doing my own thing. And that doesn't mean that I don't leave room open for when Mike Mignola calls me and says he wants to write a story about that I can showcase me drawing trees. Fine, dude, let's effing do it. That's a crown jewel. So you got to leave those open, don't shut all the doors and windows on my career and just do my own stuff. Every once in a while there's a diamond that comes your way and you have to be available for that. So that's how I approach it. I try to do my own books. Hopefully they pay for themselves. Some do better than others. And in those tough times, I do covers for other companies that kind of stay relevant and so my books are always on the shelf, or often, and at least the covers. And in the meantime, I just pull the belt tight and get a little hungry and try and finish a miniseries. And that's what we're doing right now. You know, I'm not good with bosses, man, because I've met a few in my life that are substantial, but it's few and far between. Usually, shitheads just fail upwards. It's just because they got nothing else to do that they just stick around. And those people are not good leaders. They don't have leadership skills. They lack the integrity. They lack the wherewithal in the wheelhouse to be a manager of people, of artists, of men and women. It takes a special type of person. And I think in the entertainment industry, both in comics, movies, video games, less than video games, but often the middle of the road people tend to move forward because they'll take more shit because they don't have anything else to offer, really. They're not writers, they're not artists, they're not creators, but they want to be in some aspects. So you get this weird controlling resentment with bosses, I think, in the entertainment industry. And this is just a general rule. Obviously, there's great people out there, and I've met them, but they're few and far between. So in short, not that I can say things in short, but in short, I almost always hate bosses. Almost always. So it's better for me to just remove myself from the situation rather than to cause chaos for them and the other workers, and come off risk being a prima donna or something. So instead of causing chaos, I just carved out my own little tiny corner cave in the industry, and I just do my crap over there and bring along my friends rather than some turd you're teamed up with just because they're there at the time for Company X.
Yeah, that goes to my next question. I was going to say, since you don't like bosses, who was the boss that formulated your team you got for this Moonshine Bigfoot project?
Well, you're looking at him. However, I hired my old friend who I did Shaun of the Dead with, which was his first comic book. My old editor from IDW named Chris Ryle. And he was publisher, and he kind of built IDW into what they were before they've kind of fallen apart. And Chris Ryle stopped, and he made his own image imprint with Ashley Wood. For those that know the superstar international artist Ashley Wood, he used to do X-Men. He's done a million things, Spawn. He's just a fine artist, a literal fine artist. He's phenomenal for those that don't know him. And you can see how his work influenced a whole crop of generation of creators nowadays. However, they formed their own company called Syzygy, which is an imprint of Image, like think of anything else, like Top Cow or whoever. Just anything that publishes through Image. He just started his own company, and I was there when he got IDW, turned them into a nothing company, into the powerhouse that they were a good few years ago before the wheels fell off the wagon. So yeah, my longtime editor and very good friend Chris Ryle. For those that know the background people, that's who made this. Once he said Image would publish it, that's when I went full bore and locked in the team. We started heavy design work and made a commitment to do this series come rain or shine.
Oh, cool. I'm going to go to another project, you was part of a couple years ago, your Hellboy project. Previously you said you did the source book. Yeah, source book.
The resource manual.
Yeah.
Before I could get into comic books, I was a professional potter and sculptor. That's how I paid for college too, along with construction. And my now wife, but as my girlfriend at the time when we both graduated, I decided, because I had to take an illustration class that had a professor that had drawn Aliens vs. Predator. He wasn't a fantastic artist, but he had professional comic book work. And I was like, hell, I'll take that class, even though, I'm doing my thesis in sculpture. And he loved my work, dragged me to MegaCon in Florida, and people liked my work. So I just asked my wife, hey, look, can I be poor for a little while I learn how to draw and try and be a comic book artist? And this was when I was 24. And by 27, I was working for a company called Steve Jackson Games. They make board games, stuff called GURPS, like role-playing manuals, things like that. They're a big company, at least back in the day. Well, they got the rights to Hellboy when it was just getting popular. And this is like 2002-ish.
Right before the movie, huh?
And, long. Well, actually, funny thing is, regardless, Mike Mignola chose me and one other guy named Peter Bergting, I think. He's a European artist, to draw the manual. We're the two artists in this gaming company that were interested in comic books. So I did the gaming manual, and that launched my comic book career, because then my 2 Image series happened, and then before I knew it, I was drawing Detective Comics within 4 years of starting, learning how to draw. And I was very fortunate. And regardless, I knew Mike Mignola didn't like my work then. I hated it. I was learning how to draw. I was pretty crappy. And but I was trying my damnedest. And after that series ended, I promised myself one day I'm going to get a second chance. And if I do, I'm going to bring the fire hose, man. I'm going to shake the world with what I do. So I was very fortunate working with Joe Hill a lot. My books got pretty popular with him, and obviously Mignola read them. And he just called me up and said, look, Richard Corbin, the famous European artist that did the book The Crooked Man with Mike Mignola, a famous Hellboy series, won Eisners and everything. He can't draw anymore, so I wanted to get you to draw the sequel. And he liked the way that I drew trees, so it's basically going to be Hellboy, the new character, walking around the forest. And I was like, shit, I'll do it. Honored, in fact. And but the first time, got off track. The first time when I was doing the resource manual, when I was signing for it at AtlantaCon, Mike Mignola didn't drive at the time, So his driver didn't show up, so I just drove him back and forth through the convention every day. And he had just signed the movie. He'd gotten like a $60 million budget when he was talking about having dinner with Del Toro and everybody. And Mike Mignola was pretty excited about that first movie. And then, ironically, the ill-fated third movie came out while I was drawing the second series, the sequel to The Crooked Man, which was called The Return of Effie Kolb, the villain from the first one. I made sure that I didn't see them because it had gotten rocky reviews and the trailer seemed a little rough. I made it a point to not see it until I was done with the series because I didn't want to piss off Mike in any way while I was drawing the series, just in case I didn't like it. I have trouble lying, so I just stayed ignorant. I figured that was safest while I was drawing it. So yeah, Cap Ends, the first movie and the third movie is when I drew Hellboy. And the second one, it was just collected into a trade paperback. And it's in there. It's me and Adam Hughes, Dave Stewart, Mike Mignola. It's a pretty kick-ass lineup to be part of. Just hit. Yeah. So been signing for that.
I remember people talking about it. 'Cause I think before that book came out, they had the Young Hellboy series going on, and I don't think people really accepted that one. Now I think with that book you worked on came out, it brought it back, people attention on Hellboy again because the movie was crappy and the Young Hellboy wasn't really doing stuff. So I think.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Hellboy fan. Funny story. When I was playing RuneScape, back in like middle school, high school, whatever, my one of my characters was named Hellboy Jr.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Parallel thinking.
But
I should thank you.
Yeah. That's funny though. But what I was gonna say, so you work on the Detective Comics and Hellboy and stuff like that. Has any of your imprint, like how you make the character or anything like that, got picked up in live action or in the kind of animated thing?
Yeah, so Murphy in my book, Outer Orbit, was in negotiations for an animated series with Adam Sandler's company called Happy Madison, and this was 2005 or 6. And of course, our luck, the infamous writer's strike in the Hollywood happened during those negotiations. Well, right in the effing middle of them. And we had to wait 4 months or 6 months or something like that. And when they came back, they weren't as hot on it anymore. But we almost signed it then. And then I've optioned the Cape, which was my Eisner nod. So we got nominated for best book of 2010 or 11 or something with the Cape. And it was pretty red hot series for a while. That's been optioned more times than I can count. And I have a feeling with Joe Hill's success with Lock and Key and the Black Phone, I would just wink and a nod, tell fans that just hold on. Something's happening with that, I suspect. Okay. Wink, wink. And lastly, the book I did with Sean Murphy recently found some interest again. Our two careers went wildly different directions, but we each have our little fame centers, especially him, of course. And that book got hot again. And we're in a negotiation deal to sell that license for an animated movie, approximately $10 million. I don't think I'm giving anything away. I don't get that money, don't worry. Calm down, everyone. That goes into production. I'll probably be throwing peanuts and get like a Chili's gift certificate.
Hey, at least they feed you, right?
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I get food. Mostly just shitty beer and cons. And then, so I'm trying to think what I can talk about and not talk about. Mostly, I got one on happening right now. Wild Blue Yonder had a lot of interest. It was super, super popular. Intel, actually, the technology company, optioned it for 6 figures. I can't talk about the exact money, and they wanted to use it to debut this new AR technology in their laptops. Well, the problem is Gerard Butler starred in it, Zoe Deutsch, Ed Harris. We had this killer cast of VO, and we took the panels of comic books and we animated them all. So with all this crazy technology, 3D technology, it was really neat. There's a few things I thought that were a little goofy in it, but I only had so much say. However, the whole thing was animated, VO'd. The problem was the technology company at the time, and I can't speak about everything, but the technology that we were working with, VR just passed it by. So it became irrelevant while we were working.
Oh, man.
So we had this fully kind of motion comic and high-end animated movie for a motion comic book. Very high-end. Again, Ed Harris and Gerard Butler and all these badasses. Cannot remember the guy's name that plays Black Lightning, but that TV show, that guy starred as the Judge.
Okay.
But we just had this killer cast. He was a great fan, and I'm embarrassed I can't remember names right now. There's about 20 people that rocked in that cast. So we took all that animation after the AR went. It was nice because I got real paychecks for once in my damn career. And we took it to Apple and turned it into a phone app that people could buy. And you watch basically the movie in 6 chapters or 5 or something like that. And he played a little stupid phone game where he pressed like a star when you see it on the screen. We recycled. It was basically just watching the movie. And that did well. We beat the Kardashians for 1 week. 1 week we beat the Kardashians on apps. And I don't think it was the most popular Kardashian. I think it was like the big goonish
it's
one.
It's about 12 of them, so you know, hey.
Yeah. There's like one of the big ones, one of the original 3 sisters or something. I think the least popular of those 3, that's who we beat.
Okay.
But I don't give a F. We beat a Kardashian for a week, so that's my claim to fame, sir. Take that, Kardashian, 1 week.
All right. My last question for this segment. In 22 years of you being in the comic book industry, how has it changed and evolved around you? And I mean, did you stick with it times, or you had to you had to keep up with it, or how's it working for you? 22 years.
Well, yes and no. I have kept up with the times in the sense that, like, I pencil digitally now. That wasn't an option back in the day. But paper quality has gotten so crappy, so terrible. If you can imagine, young people can't probably understand. The boards we used to draw on used to be so high quality you could damage them and still ink well, i.e. pencil directly on them. Nowadays, the paper's so crappy, it's hard to ink on them, and really consistently with menagerie tools, the paper options are far less. So instead of damaging this paper, I've learned how to pencil digitally on a nice tablet, and then I print that out, and then I ink traditionally. So on this nice fresh board, it's not damaged or anything from penciling. So I kind of have a blend of the two. So I'm kind of right in the middle. But I wouldn't call myself a digital artist because the end product is traditional. And I like that aspect because my artwork about a third of my income in a year comes from selling my artwork, whereas a purely digital artist technically has no original art. They can print and call that the original proof or whatever they call it now, but it's not. It's still a printout. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not disparaging digital artists. It's the way it's going. I'm so old, I watched it go from... I was there for the first Photoshop, dude. The first Photoshop. Photoshop effing 1. I was in high school, like junior year or something like that. So, I've seen it come, and that was powerful then to now. It's like the difference between a horse and buggy carriage versus the space shuttle. It is the technology's gone insane. And it's coming out of the chasm from me not really liking it to getting really dynamic and beautiful now, what they can do with digital art. There's some amazing digital artist painters and illustrators that I know and are my friends, and they're phenomenal. I personally choose traditional art because I don't think what my stupid hand does, the errors in my tools and the little microfibers on the paper, it's never going to... I just don't see it being recreated. It can be recreated on the computer. The computer's too precise, and it lacks an organicness that real-time inking facilitates. I don't have a Control Alt Z or Control Z that goes backwards. I have to nail every line I do. I have to get it right. And what that forces you to do, it sharpens your brain and your focus, and you can get those correct lines, and you train those neurons in your brain to communicate with your hand better, and you will be a better artist. So that's why I always tell digital artists, even if that's what you want to do, draw traditionally too, because it forces you real time to make some decisions. There's something on the line. And when there's something on the line, you're a little more crispy in your thought, and your attention's a little bit crisper or more laser focused. And I think you learn better that way. And then the best digital artists I know are people that can both draw and paint traditionally and do digital art. And so I don't even know what the hell my question was, but I'm somewhere in between. I broke in about 2002, so I was right there when computer color wasn't so ugly as it was and the garish as it was in the 90s, and they're starting to learn how to color comics a little bit better as technology's getting better, the medium's getting more experience with it. So I was there right at the beginning of that really being infused as part of the industry. We're not doing color guides with stupid watercolors anymore.
Okay.
We're going full digital. And then you got a generation of that going through the digital portal, and the art started becoming more artistic and more dynamic and start harmonizing with the black line art better, becoming more complete pieces, rather than just being some generic gradient of fluorescent green on Spawn's stupid man coming out of his glowing red finger.
Yeah.
So it's been fun watching that happen, because I think my career spanned a really interesting part of comics, because it just come out of the fall of the 90s, rebuilt itself, and is pretty stable again, but it was still operating like traditional comic books, the distribution, the printing, the production, to where now it's predominantly done digitally. And I'm almost archaic, where back in the day I wasn't on the forefront of new technologies, but I was utilizing more new technologies for old traditional artwork. But if you go to contemporary times, I'm pretty archaic. I'm one of the only people you're going to find with actual original art in my portfolio and pages drawn, and I'd rather people like to see original artwork. Here's the poster for Moonshine Bigfoot that I'm working on. As you can see, I print out in blue lines. So I'm using a technology that I drew on there, but then I come back and let my hand and actual traditional tools mark it up, and you then get a one-of-a-kind piece of art. So what it allows me to do is bridge between being a true commercial illustrator, because I'm a commercial artist ultimately when I'm making a comic book, but it brings a traditional fine art element to that storytelling that pure digital art just lacks. So that doesn't mean it's important to everyone, but it's important to me, and I built a fan base around that. So I would say I'm kind of right in the middle. I got a kind of a foot in both, though I'm by no means technically a student when it comes down.
Okay. That's dope. Hopefully I get my foot in the door, I'll be in there longer shoes, but, I
hope so.
Yeah.
Rub shoulders on the backside of the table.
Yeah. But, like I said, that's the internet segment, that was your hotkeys, and we said a lot, hopefully people listen to it and take some of your advice or learn from some things you went through. Next, I'm going to the digging in the crates. It's the last segment. Think that was like your Nobel Prize question, once you were winning or something like that. I'm going to hit you with one question, from all the stuff we learned about you today. And it's a double meaning term as well. In music, you dig through the crates, get that vinyl, those CDs out as, your favorite ones or whatever. And the same way in comics, you do the same thing, So I'm going to pull this question out. Since you started, doing gaming wise, if you were able to create a game that you wanted to create, or from a project or a title that you've been worked on as an artist, what kind of game would you create? Or would it be like any project? Would it be a character? What would it be? An RPG, fighter? What would it be?
I think it'd be kind of we actually got close with Wild Blue Yonder. It was Bungie, I believe Bungie Studios out of Montreal. They were thinking about possibly acquiring the license and making a shooter game out of Wild Blue Yonder. So you'd be able to be in like jet aircraft on the aircraft carrier or on a mountain base, and you could fight between those three things, and you could get in vehicles. You could be a jetpacker, and there'd be three armies fighting. And I always loved that idea of taking this world I built of rusty old aircraft in this dystopian world and getting to fight around in it. But the newest one, Moonshine Bigfoot, that'd be like playing a hot rodding live action cartoon, and the characters are so wild in it. I think it would really, really feel good as a video
It looks
game.
like from your artwork, it looks like it could be like a Borderlands type game.
Exactly, running around in cars, running over cops, and jumping chasms, and making people. Our moonshine is accidentally infused with magic mushrooms, and that's the point of the story. This batch is making people see through the magic mushroom. Moonshine makes them see through propaganda, and they're not affected by propaganda or politics anymore. And thus the Illuminati, our version of the Illuminati, comes after them because they can't control the world if this moonshine gets out. So you can have a lot of fun with, like a Borderlands type of game where you go into missions every once in a while. You have goofy characters, an explosion, and over-the-top jumps, and flipping around while jumping out of your car and evading people. And we got mech robots. We got old redneck cops and stupid 80s cars. We got all sorts of hot rods you could ever want with jetpacks on the back of them, and goofy drunk characters running the black market that talk through their puppets, and hot girlfriend that blesses her that sells foot porn in the back of old magazines and stuff like that. That they didn't have the internet back then, so she couldn't do OnlyFans. So she sells pictures of her feet in the back of magazines for people. So we got a fun world, man. You know, so I think that'd be like playing a live action cartoon.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope.
Let's do it. Dope. Hey, Bungie, call me.
Oh, they might need something, man. They ain't doing so good, man.
Bungie, come on.
Yeah, they ain't doing so good right now. But
oops.
But hey, that's the end of the show, man. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully people enjoyed you. You know, ready to back your project you got on Kickstarter right now. If you want to drop that, tell everybody where to find that at. As well, if I want to find any of your projects or find you at a con or whatever, how can they follow you and whatnot?
Yes, so obviously this entire damn episode, all these, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, if I can go right there. Oh, I'm backwards here. Instagram, I got a website, I sell my original art on comiccon.art. If you want to get a hold of me, just message me on Facebook or IG. I check messages every day. I'm pretty interactive with the fans. As far as Moonshine Bigfoot, it's a 4-issue limited series coming out through Image. With a superstar team. Steve Ellis used to draw Hellboy, or not Hellboy, rather Lobo. He used to be the Lobo artist, among other things, and now he's famous for painting Magic the Gathering cards, some of the most famous ones ever. We're teaming up on the artwork together. It's just an amazing project. We're kicking ass on Kickstarter. We funded in 11 hours.
Wow.
We were number 3 in the world. The second day is C2E2. Please come support us. It's like nothing you've ever seen. At least watch the trailer. It's on Kickstarter right now. Just search Moonshine Bigfoot. It'll take you right to it. It's under Projects We Love. Kickstarter's loving it. It's doing phenomenally well. There's 1 million tiers. You can even appear in the series as a barfly. You can actually be in the bar while Bigfoot's talking and stuff like that. You and your buddies can be drinking in the background, hanging out with Bigfoot. We have all sorts of fun tiers. Our merchandise launches tomorrow, which is going to be T-shirts, coffee mugs, keychains, but we got lightning in the bottle here. It's really fun. And I think it's accessible to almost all fans of both comic books, animation. Hell, we got hot rodding culture, which I never expected. fans writing, finally a comic book with hot rods in it. So, hell yeah, we're bringing hot rods, buddy. And so check us out. We're only halfway done with it. And if you can come help us, we got a million great packages. By the way, you get 8 free comic books for any level of, even if you just give us gas money, which is a few bucks, you get 8 free comic books at the end of this. And that includes my out-of-print famous cover process sketchbook. Steve Ellis's out-of-print, very famous High Moon, which is a werewolf western that came out through DC that has been out of print for years. You get all sorts of sketchbooks. You get digital comic books. So even just taking the smallest chance on Moonshine Bigfoot, right at the end of the Kickstarter, you already get 8 comic books prior to even getting Moonshine Bigfoot when we finish that. So we tried to make this a hell of a campaign. So everybody gets something no matter what level. We have levels, somebody paid to be the bartender in the book. We have a lot of fun stuff. So now they get a speaking role as a bartender at the black market speakeasy. And so come check us out. I promise you, it's super cool, man. We're trying to do something really fun. We think we created lightning in the bottle, though I'm sure everybody thinks they do. But we got a hell of a project here. Image picked it up immediately. Kickstarter's gotten behind it and giving us our badges. And you can help creators stay away from the grind of working in a factory of like Aquaman annual for DC or some crap like that, where you just want to take your nib and stab your eyes out by page 15. We're doing a really fun, really beautiful, high-end artwork. The stories, it will make you laugh every page. The art you'll want to stick on, you'll want to read the book again. And you're supporting creators being independent of being basically working slaves as we are for most comic book series. Because it's a 70-hour-a-week job at least, and we get paid piddlywinks when you're drawing a lot of these other books. Where this, if we can just make a living wage, we're gonna curl your toes with this damn project. Moonshine Bigfoot. Hey. It's the greatest cryptozoological action adventure comedy of all time. That's our tagline. So at least check out the trailer, guys. It's on Kickstarter now. Even at the very least, check it out. I just want to get people smiling and laughing because we think we did a good job.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. Like I said, man, thanks for coming on, man. And
Specs, by the way, how'd you get that badass?
He's right here.
Oh, really? Man, I never had cool friends. They all always called me dipshit or something. Yeah. So, Specs is a good one.
When I got it, I didn't like it, man. Cause when we was hanging out in the green box, you know, then the girls come over. You know, I try to take my glasses off, so I want to sound like a nerd. Then my friend Dallas, he'll always just bring it up. Say, Specs, where your glasses at, man? Where your glasses? Why you took Specs off? I'm like, come on, man.
You gotta compete with a dude named Lil Ghost or something like that, and you're freaking Specs. Yeah. I get it, man. I get it. So my worst thing, just a real quick cap on that. This is probably before your time, but when I was in junior high, Lego came out with the Legos. They came out with a commercial called Zach the Lego Maniac, and there weren't a lot of Zachs when I was a kid, so everybody, anytime, they called me the Lego Maniac for like 15 years, dude. To this day, if I ever meet the ad exec that came up with that, I'm gonna beat his ass. Zach the Lego Maniac.
Just make him step with some Legos.
Yeah, make him step on the damn Legos. Yeah. Take that, you stupid Dutch So, there you go. There's my last one.
All right, man. Yeah, appreciate you once again, man. And we're gone.
Thank you, Specs.
Bro, I don't want to hear about it.
Oh, bro.
Your jokes,
What the hell you even been at, bro?
Just come on, man. Just come on. I wasn't going to ask, bro. I really wasn't. This is Chill in the Green Box with Specks Thompson. You from Legacy to View. And appreciate y'all coming on and supporting our guest, man, Zach Howard. And go support his Kickstarter, man. Moonshine Bigfoot. It look real dope, man. We love to see they get picked up like the rest of his projects or turn to a game, like you said. And if you want to get my books, go to legacyview.com. And if you want to just follow me on my journey on all social media, go to Legacy to View. You can follow me on social media at Specks706. And be sure to support that Kickstarter, Moonshine Bigfoot. And we're out.